Welcome to my channel.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. Have you ever wanted to talk to someone new but didn't know how to start? Maybe you meet a new colleague, attend an event, join a new class, or simply find yourself surrounded by people you don't know. Starting a conversation can feel uncomfortable, especially when you're worried about saying the wrong thing. Today, we're going to talk about how to start a conversation with someone new and how to make those first few moments feel more natural. I'm joined by our guest, Emma. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. I think this is something many people struggle with, especially English learners. Sometimes they know enough English to have a conversation, but they don't have the confidence to take the first step.
That's exactly the problem. Why do you think starting a conversation feels so difficult for many people?
I think one reason is that we put too much pressure on ourselves. We think we need to say something interesting, funny, or impressive. But a conversation doesn't have to begin with something special. The most important thing is simply to show that you're open to talking.
So we shouldn't worry too much about finding the perfect words.
Exactly. A simple and friendly approach is usually enough. When you meet someone new, you can introduce yourself, ask a simple question, or talk about something you have in common. The goal isn't to impress the other person. The goal is to create a comfortable opening.
I like that. But once you've started, how do you keep the conversation going?
The most important skill is listening. A lot of people are so worried about what they're going to say next that they don't really listen to the other person. Instead, pay attention to their answers. Their answer will often give you your next topic. If they mention their work, you can ask about their job. If they mention traveling, you can ask about their experiences. If they talk about a hobby, you can show interest in it. You don't need to prepare every question in advance.
That's a really useful point. So, instead of thinking, what should I say next? We should think, what can I learn from what this person just said?
Exactly. That makes conversations feel much more natural. And there's another important skill: asking open-ended questions. Questions that can be answered with just yes or no often end a conversation quickly. But questions that encourage someone to explain their thoughts can create a longer conversation.
That's interesting. And I imagine showing genuine interest is also important.
Definitely. People can usually tell when you're asking questions just to keep a conversation alive. You don't have to pretend to be interested. Try to actually be curious about the person. Everyone has experiences, opinions, interests, and stories that you may know nothing about. A conversation is an opportunity to discover something new.
That's a nice way to look at it. What about English learners who are nervous because they're afraid of making mistakes?
They need to remember that making mistakes is completely normal. When you're speaking another language, you won't always find the perfect word or use perfect grammar. That's part of learning. If you're always worried about making mistakes, you may become too nervous to speak. And if you don't speak, you don't get the practice you need.
So, confidence doesn't come from waiting until your English is perfect.
Exactly. Confidence comes from using English again and again. Every conversation gives you experience. You learn what works, what doesn't, which words you need, and which expressions sound natural. Over time, starting conversations becomes much easier.
There's also something else I think people worry about: the possibility of an awkward silence.
Yes, but silence isn't necessarily a bad thing. We don't need to fill every second with words. A short pause is completely normal. And if the conversation reaches a natural ending, that's okay too. Not every conversation has to last 30 minutes. Sometimes a short, friendly conversation is enough.
That's an important lesson. We don't need to measure the success of a conversation by how long it lasts.
Exactly. A successful conversation is simply one where both people feel comfortable and respected. And remember, starting a conversation is also about building relationships. You may not become close friends with everyone you meet, and that's perfectly fine. But every conversation gives you an opportunity to practice your communication skills and understand people better.
Before we finish, what's the most important advice you'd give someone who wants to become better at starting conversations?
I'd say stop waiting for the perfect moment. If you see an opportunity to talk to someone, take it. Be friendly, be curious, listen carefully. Don't worry about sounding perfect. And most importantly, don't be afraid of rejection or awkwardness. Not every conversation will go perfectly, and that's okay. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become.
That's a great message. Starting a conversation isn't really about having the perfect words, it's about having the courage to take the first step and the ability to genuinely listen. And for English learners, every conversation is another opportunity to improve. Thank you so much for joining us today, Emma.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. And to everyone listening, don't wait until your English is perfect. Start speaking now.
Absolutely. And thank you for listening. Remember, you don't need perfect English to start a conversation. You just need a little confidence, curiosity, and the willingness to speak. Keep learning, keep practicing, and keep connecting with people. See you in the next episode.
Goodbye, everyone.